folks, I'm going to be doing a review here for the Reo Grand VV. This is going to be a complete review, and the last time I'm going to do a review on it unless it breaks or I have some sort of a major issue with it otherwise. Okay, I've been using this for quite a while. I take it to work with me, so I know quite a bit about it by now, all the ins and outs of it, the kinks and the good things. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on with it. This thing right here is, it looks like it's nice and tough, you know, like the rhino lining. This here is powder coated. Okay, it does have some marks on it because I don't have a lanyard for it. Okay. However, those little marks right there will come off. There's some marks right here on what looks like rhino lining, but it's not the strongest coating, as you can see, or hopefully you can see. Okay, not a huge deal. I don't honestly really give a crap about what something looks like. Okay, so just really prefer that it perform well and is advertised. Okay, so what do I have on top of here? I have a Vapage hybrid bottom feeder atomizer. This one's different from most dripping atomizers in the fact that it has different holes on the bottom of it, but I don't think that matters with the Reo. I don't think it's neither here nor there. It could be, they have two different kinds of atomizers, so whenever I had the V-Mod, I bought extra atomizers, so it was 17 bucks for two. Okay, so that's what I got on here. I've got just a regular old black drip tip on there just because it kind of matches. Alright, I did have a drip shield on here, however, for me, it doesn't really matter if it has one on there or not. Okay, so I don't have it on there now. As a matter of fact, I think it might be somewhere out in the yard somewhere. Who knows where it's at? But anyways, so here we go. The button on this thing, flawless. I haven't had any misfires. Only time it doesn't fire is when the battery's dead. Okay, or the switch is off. Okay, this one here, it has a little on and off switch right there, has a little adjuster wheel right there. Okay, so not a whole lot of textile feel, okay, on any of this stuff. Like with the switch, I have to push it over with my fingernail. Okay, and that's really the only way you can tell it's on or off. There is a light in there, and you can only see it if it's in the shadow, and that light is red when it's on. It is really difficult to see that light, and I think, geez, can I see it? I'm having a hard time finding it. There it is. I think it changes color when it fires. Yeah, it turns blue when it fires. So it's red when it's idle, and it's blue when it's firing. I don't even know why it's there, seeing as how it's so hard to see. On my unboxing and an initial quick look at the PV, I never knew it was there, okay? But when you turn the switch off, the red light shuts off, okay? And it doesn't turn blue when you push the button. Okay, so I mean, that's pretty much just stating the obvious. The adjustment on this thing really sucks. For one, you never know where you're at. For two, it's just hard to actually get in there and do it. It's worse than the switch. The switch is easier with a fingernail because it's right out here in the open. But as far as the wheel goes, it is hiding in between the seams. And this seam on the top comes out further than the wheel does, unfortunately. So it makes it difficult still to turn that wheel. Okay, really easy to get in there and change stuff around. The tube goes all the way down the bottom of the bottle. I've never had this thing leak. The only time that it does leak is when you get a little bit of overflow in the juice cup. okay, and then you put it on its side, lay it down or whatever, and that's happened to me a couple of times. Alright, so right now I've got some juice in the drip well, and so I'm not going to lay it down. I'm going to set it up like this if I set it down. Okay, so I'm going to get on with the pet peeves. Okay, obviously the adjustments are somewhat of a pet peeve. Not knowing where you're at is somewhat of a pet peeve. Turn this thing down all the way as far as it can go and frying things that you put on top of it, a pet peeve. I bought an adapter so I could put pretty much anything on this and use it like a regular old box mod. It doesn't have to be a bottom feeder. However, I did burn out one of my Pro Tank heads, or no, it was a Pro Tank or an EVOD head, one or the other. I burnt it out and it was at the lowest setting, so that was kind of a major disappointment. It just seems like it's hotter than what it should be. Okay, the battery thing, a lot of people have heard about that. You know, the batteries can cock to the side like that. Okay, just get jarred, and as you see, it kind of messes up the arrangement of the bottle tube. Okay, so that does suck. It would be nice if they would put a little divider right in there so that the batteries would stay right where they are supposed to stay, but they didn't do that. Okay, as far as the door is concerned, it's holding up really well. Okay, that's really nice. And one other negative on this one is that it does use batteries when it's sitting idle. So I try to make a point to turn the off switch off, the on-off switch off, excuse me, when I'm not using it. Okay, I use bottom feeders for out and about. So whenever I'm out and about, obviously it's going to be on, and you know, the batteries can last quite a while. I take it to work with me. I don't vape constantly at work. So as long as I know I have charged batteries, I'm good. Otherwise, I bring an extra set of batteries with me, okay? And I've got a little holder. I just put the batteries in my pocket. Okay, so that is a major flaw, because with something like this, I can leave this thing on for a month and it'll have the exact same battery voltage. I can leave this thing on for 2 days, 3 days, and I can take a puff off of it, but you know it's losing power, so you might want to turn it up, and it doesn't turn up. It's just a subpar vape. It's lower than the lowest setting on this. Okay, so that is a major negative. You know, you don't always remember to turn it off. Okay, one other negative, and it's only a negative because I have tried out the competition, and in my opinion, back when the Vapage V-Mod Excel was just hitting the streets, everybody was talking about, well, is it the Reo or is it the V-Mod? Okay, so one thing that I can say that the V-Mod has, having had that one as well, is that it has that cone. Okay, and that cone covers up the entire atomizer. Okay, so you can unscrew that cone and screw it back on, and that's the way that I used it, obviously, with the cone on, and therefore I never had to worry about a wonky or a cocked sideways atomizer on top of the device. You could drop it and the atomizer would be fine. But this one is really heavy, and I have actually dropped it on another atomizer, and it did push over sideways just a little bit to where it was kind of loose whenever you were making pulls. Pretty much everybody has gone through that, and you know it's an annoyance. Nobody really likes that. Okay, so that is another negative. It would be nice if this thing, the drip cup, actually extended up. You know, it would be nice if it extended up like the cone on the Vapage V-Mod, and that is one of the reasons why I regret not having the V-Mod anymore. Okay, but then where would the Reo Grand VV be at? You know, the Reo Grand VV would pretty much be worthless, because that's what I use the bottom feeder for. Okay, so let me just go ahead and take a vape off of it, show you guys what it's doing. It's juice dependent, it's atomizer dependent, it's battery voltage dependent, okay, to a point. But let me just show you anyway. The button is not clicky at all, but it is nice. Obviously not pocket friendly unless you turn it on and off. Okay. Get a little more juice in there. Now my advice is once you get a comfortable setting, leave it there. Leave it there for as long as you can, because there is no way to know where it's set at unless you're using something like this. Okay? There's no way to know. And if you were wanting to get one of these and one of these as well to be able to check your voltage, you're going to need a 510 to 510 extension. This does not fit on there without it. Okay, so what would I rate the Reo Grand VV? First off, would I buy it again had I had a chance to test drive it before I bought it? Would I have actually forked over the $200 to buy it? Okay, and that's what it cost, $200. Okay, would I do it again? That's kind of a double-edged sword thing. Okay, and the reason that I say it is because it is really reliable except for the two things, the switch and the atomizer connection. Okay, it's not stripped or anything like that. It's really simple, just unscrew and screw back on, but it may not always be like that. Okay, so that is my two major negative pet peeves with this. Okay, so would I do it again? I probably would, but I would probably look a little harder for something else too. Okay, and if I found something else that looked like it had those situations under control, I would have went that way, even if it was, say, $250, maybe even up to $300. You know, some things you can live with and some things you just hate to. Okay, and those two things are things that I really hate to live with, because I've got so many things to vape with. You know, I just want to take a vape. I don't want to have to remember to take this and turn it on, and then whenever I'm done taking a couple puffs, do this, and then get your finger back in there, your nail, and shut it back off. You know, it's one of those things. All right, that's it. 1 out of 10. What do I rate it at? I have to rate it at an 8. It would be nice for $200 if I could rate this thing at a 9 or a 9.5. I'd love to. You know, that would be money well spent, and it would probably be a whole lot better of a review, to be honest with you. Okay, but I think an 8 is a solidly good score. Like I say, anything above a 6.5, 6 or a 6.5, if you can find it at a good deal, buy it. But for $200, hopefully you have a better understanding of what the Reo Grand VV is all about. Okay, so thank you for watching.
Mama, I don't know your name, but I said, baby, oh, sugar, I can